Alright. I know what you're gonna say. Just keep watching, bro. It'll get better. Trust me. Yeah, I know it'll get better. Why do you think I've been watching up until this point? That still doesn't take away from the fact that some of the content within the first 2 seasons of Danmachi is just straight up garbage. I'm not gonna sit by and say nothing while a literal god is captured while getting potato snacks. I refuse. Actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. So if you couldn't tell by the title of the video, I've started watching Is It Wrong to Pick Up Girls in a Dungeon? Also more popularly known as Danmachi. The first season of Danmachi came out back in 2015, which is almost 10 years ago. Wow. I did not need that reality check. The first season of Danmachi was immensely popular because back then, these dungeon exploring fantasies and isekais weren't nearly as popular and plentiful. Like, there were obviously some shows like this, but it isn't like now where we have every season getting filled up with shows like The Time I Tripped Over a Half-Eaten Sandwich and Turned into an Orc's Prize Pickle or some other goofy shit like that. Danmachi had a certain appeal to it that definitely drew more people in. This aesthetic is one of the main reasons that kept me going during the questionable arc, so I'm not even gonna knock it. So what's Danmachi even about in the first place? Basically, it's a dating simulator about a dude who goes into a dungeon and raises up orcs and minotaurs, adding every race in the world to his dungeon harem. What do you mean that's not the plot? It's literally in the title. The title doesn't make sense now? Of course it doesn't. Danmachi takes place in a fantasy world filled with different lands and kingdoms, but mainly focuses on the city of Orario. In this world, gods have descended from the heavens to live amongst mortals. While they're down there, they bless mortals with the power to fight monsters. Once a god blesses someone, they join that god's familia. Now you might be asking, who are these gods? They're basically famous gods from all sorts of different mythologies, from Greek mythology to Japanese mythology to even Indian mythology, which is honestly pretty nice to see since I was just expecting Japanese gods to be used. There are gods like Freya, Hestia, Ganesha, and Hephaestus, and their personalities and motives reflect the legends that have been made from them from mythology. The main character is this fella named Bell Cranel. Now Bell, he is one hell of a main character, as in he is the most generic, I'm a good guy that wants to save everyone despite the situation kind of character I've seen in a while. At least this is how I view him in the first 2 seasons. He has unspoken charm and somehow gets every damn girl introduced in the first season to fall for him within 3 seconds because of his unrelenting kindness. He honestly isn't that great so far in my opinion. It's super easy to figure out what kind of action he's gonna take and what he's gonna do because he's just super predictable and generic. Not really one of the strong points of the series so far. Bell is in Hestia's family, which at the beginning currently just has him. Hestia herself is basically broke as hell and works odd jobs to pay a debt off while she and Bell have to live in an abandoned shack. Hestia herself has an ability called Arcana, but due to the restriction of gods not being able to use their divine abilities in the lower realm, she's just kind of a homeless looking bum. Like, she's a whole ass god, but acts like she's 12 years old when she interacts with other women and is honestly just cringy as fuck. I guess I can't blame her completely though, since her competition is insane since Bell is just the greatest guy ever. Obviously, Bell and Hestia can't stay as a one-man familia for the whole series, and they're constantly looking into ways of leveling up both combat-wise and notoriety-wise. You see, to gain clout in this world, gods have to employ strong adventurers who enter a large dungeon at the center of Orario that has multiple floors that are filled with different kinds of monsters. When an adventurer defeats a monster, they collect a gem from it and can exchange it for money at the guild. The lower you go down the dungeon, the stronger the monsters are and the better the drops are. Pretty basic stuff. Adventurers entering the dungeon are ranked by level, with 1 being the lowest. Leveling up as an adventurer takes quite the feat and is honestly a pretty big deal itself throughout the series. So obviously, your boy Bell levels up insanely quickly because of his special main character abilities. Now what are these powers? One of them is called Realis Freeze, which massively increases Bell's growth in power as long as he's in love. The other main ability so far is Argonaut, which lets Bell emit an extremely powerful single attack after he activates it by thinking of a hero. So basically, this dude has literal level up steroids that are based on love. Incredible, honestly. He gets super strong, super quick, and it's not even a question of whether or not he's gonna overcome an obstacle, because his abilities let him level up at insane speeds when the plot wants him to. Granted, he did have a cool moment against the Minotaur, and Argonaut itself is pretty cool when it's used, so I guess that's something. You can also help me level up too by liking and subscribing. Man, that was bad. The first season of Danmachi is basically Bell leveling up at unprecedented levels, getting a custom weapon of his own, and gaining 2 other members to join Bell's dungeon expeditions, Lily and Well. The arc to convince Lily to join honestly put me to sleep and is easily one of the most generic, soppy arcs I've ever watched. Wolf is pretty cool, I guess, and the last couple of episodes of season 1 made it sort of worth it, as we learn more about the history of gods and things of that nature. Because for me, by far the best part of Danmachi is the world building. I gotta give him credit for it because I think it's honestly pretty good. As the show progresses, we get to see how different familia with different levels of power work together to take down other familia. The relationships between all the gods are honestly really cool to see, from Ishtar's beef with Freya to Hestia's friendship with Takemikazushi and Hephaestus. It's all pretty damn cool. There's also things like the war games, where 2 gods can challenge each other with their familias, with the winner taking everything and sending the god back up to heaven. We also learn of the great monsters that bring to light heroes and how in the past Zeus and Hera were defeated by one of them. There's also other mentions of other kingdoms that are at war with Orario, and also more of Bell's past and how it's tied to Zeus is revealed as well. After all, Bell's role within this story is to be the great hero that the world needs. needs, and this is told to us time and time again by gods like Hermes. Bell's honestly the center of this all, as he should be, because he's the main character. The goddess of fertility, Freya, has one of the strongest familia around, and she's down horrendous for Bell. She's the main reason I'm excited for the future, since she's been set up pretty well to be the villain so far, acting in the shadows and making sure Bell keeps progressing. This stuff is all done super well. As for the other stuff, it's kind of weak or just straight up trash. Season 2 especially is some of the worst stretches of anime I've ever seen. The first arc was alright, but super rushed, and the majority of the season is just straight trash. Bell basically levels up in record time, during this season, then proceeds to get kidnapped by prostitutes who spend multiple episodes screaming about how they're gonna brutally like, what the fuck? This is insufferable. This is garbage. Why is this happening? The animation isn't even good either. Like, it fell off completely from season 1. Anyways, I just needed to rant about the first 2 seasons of Danmachi for a bit. Everyone's been telling me that these seasons are rough, but I didn't think they'd be this terrible. If you're a Danmachi fan, I'm sorry for the harsh words. Still, I've been promised peak fiction within season 3, so I'm really hoping that it lives up to expectations. Please don't tell me I sat through season 2 for no reason. I'm begging you.